Hello there and welcome back to the Music Career Show. My guest today is a lady who offers a very niche and unique way of teaching people to become singing guitarists. That has really piqued my interest lately, as it is not just like your everyday guitar lessons. I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. And she believes that every human being has a story to tell. And I'm really looking forward to hearing this human being's story. So this is Phillipa Cookman. Hello, Phillipa.
Hello. Hiya.
How are you now? Are you well?
How are you?
I'm
I'm good,
smashing. I'm
thank
absolutely
you.
smashing. There seems to be a little bit of a delay because I'm asking how you are, and then you asked how I was, and I said I was grand as you said you were grand.
Now I
So
just seem rude
let's.
that I didn't ask you.
No, it's okay. Now I seem rude. I'm talking over you. So, but anyway, so for people that may not have heard of you just yet, Phillipa, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I have been a professional musician for about 20 years. As a singer is my first instrument. So I grew up in a musical family, and then I went to university, studied commercial music, and then started gigging. When people always ask, "Oh, wow, are you famous?" And I'm like, "No, just a jobbing musician." But I've
Yeah.
been very lucky to have sung around the world, doing various things, and there, I went and studied at the Royal Academy of Music as well. I went back to study there, so I had kind of like world class vocal tuition, and that was incredible. And while I was
Hmm.
there, they discovered that I had cysts on my vocal folds, so I had to have an operation, and then
Oh,
all the
Jesus.
therapy and stuff that goes after it. So yeah, I've had a lot of kind of like technical work done on my voice, I suppose you could say.
Right.
But I
Fair enough.
managed
Yeah.
to get back. Yeah, I managed to get back to singing and performing professionally. And then recently, I started thinking about how I could pass what I've learned on, but not in a traditional sense. So obviously, there are millions of singing teachers and millions of guitar teachers, and I looked, and there was no one doing both. And the
Hmm.
idea is that you don't have to be a virtuoso to do it, to enjoy making music. And I think a lot of people
Hmm.
are put off by the amount of effort it takes, and years and years and years of practicing to become this incredible thing. And the amount of people I talked to, and they were like, "Oh, I love what you do. I wish I could do it." And it was like, well, you can. So I want to
Hmm.
now try and teach people and help people become musicians without having to do the whole kind of super super technical side, which I'm not knocking.
Hmm.
Obviously that
Yeah.
is a
100%.
very
Yeah.
important thing to for people to learn. But if you don't want to, if you're intimidated by spending 6 years learning the guitar and that puts you off starting, I'm here to kind of say no, you can do stuff so quickly and easily. And that's what I'm now trying to do.
Yeah, I love that, and that's kind of what attracted me to attracted me to you. Is that the right way?
Mm.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, well, social
Whatever way
media.
you want to put that, yeah, whatever way you want to put that is that I couldn't agree with you more. I always have people that say to me like after my gigs, "Oh my god, I wish I could do what you do," and I'm like, you
Mm.
can. If literally anybody can
Mhm.
do it. I play 4 chords. Like, I
Yeah.
when I was 16, I was a very, very good guitar player, and I don't mind saying that. But nowadays, because I play 4
Mm.
chords at 4 chords a night, that's it. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm such a rusty
Yeah.
guitar player now.
Well, what's the joke?
But it
A jazz musician plays no, a rock musician plays 4 chords to 1,000 people, and a jazz musician plays 1,000 chords to 4 people. Not knocking jazz,
that's
by the way. I'm
exact
just saying it's
no.
the idea that you don't have to. 4 chords is all you need, and
Yep,
yeah, yeah, and you can make a living doing that.
absolutely. I'm looking forward to diving into that with you. But let's rewind
Mhm.
back a little bit. You said you came from a musical family. So is that where music
Yeah,
started for you, or how did you get into music?
yeah. It was just always there as long as I can remember. My dad was a professional musician. My older brother and sister are both musicians too. Um, my sister's a professional jazz singer, and my mum was involved in the theatre and was an actress and things. And so it was just my normal. Whereas everyone else's normal was their parents went out to work and came back. My normal was going to gigs, and I spent when I was a baby, I was at the side of stage in my buggy and things. So it was kind of it's just been always there and always normal. And there were guitars lying around, and so I just kind of picked it up. And I'd look at my dad and my brother playing the guitar, and I think, "Oh, that's so cool." And that's where I kind of started really. And then I discovered that I could sing as well, and that was when I kind of started veering. away from the guitar and more into um, singing. And yeah, I just fell in love with singing on big stages.
Easily done, very, very easily done.
Mhm.
And did you so were you self-taught or did you go for lessons or what did you do?
On the guitar,
On anything?
I was I taught myself the guitar, because people
Mhm.
will say, "Oh, did your dad give you lessons?" I was like, "No." But I just picked it up and, back then, before the internet, you can learn anything on the internet. I remember there was a VHS that you could rent from the library. They had one guitar video, and I used to get it out, like, every week and just watch it, and it
Wow.
just showed you some, like, basic chords in the minor pentatonic scale, and it's like, I've got that one down,
Mhm.
from watching that
Yeah,
video over and over and over, and then getting, for Christmas, you'd get, like, a songbook, and I'd learn all the songs and all the chords and things, and then, is often the way, possibly more with girls than boys, but when I became a teenager and it wasn't really cool to be playing the guitar, so it kind of went on the back burner a bit, really. And that was when I
yeah.
started taking singing more seriously. And I didn't really pick the guitar up again properly till I was about 30, I think. So
Alright.
yeah, I was self-taught. The guitar's self-taught, and then yeah, and then when all my studying, all my music studying has been a lot as voice as the first instrument. So mm,
Very good. Very, very good. Yeah, I remember those days before, YouTube. Yeah, I've spoken about
yeah,
it an awful lot on the podcast about how much easier not easier, easier is that it still takes work, but how much more accessible
yeah,
learning an instrument is nowadays because we can literally
it's
just on our
incredible.
lunch break, yeah, take out TikTok and someone's teaching us the A minor pentatonic or,
Exactly,
yeah,
and
so
there's nothing that you can't learn, and I know a professional session bass player who does the most incredible gigs, and he learned everything from YouTube.
yeah,
It's insane. It's just insane, and so it's fantastic, but it does make me think, yeah, I had, like, a couple of books and my brother's hand-me-down total guitar magazines or something.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember those, alright. Yeah, yeah, no, fantastic. So, like, did you was there ever, like, an awful lot of people kind of, like me included, wanted to be rock stars when we grew up, but it was kinda like, right, Curb Your
Mhm.
Enthusiasm a bit, gonna be a bit more realistic. What are you going to be when you grow up? But, like, it sounds like you were never going to be anything else but a rock star when you grew up. You didn't really it was kind of in you. Do you know what I mean?
I think so. I think, yeah, it was always what I wanted as a kid. That was, but the kind of school I went to, a school that was, a bit more academic. It wasn't posh. It was just that they put more emphasis on things like that rather than me. And they actually let me stop studying music, like in the third year of secondary school, which is mad considering it's all I was into, really. Um,
Yeah,
and then it was kind of like, "Oh, what do you want to do for a real job?" And I hate that phrase. I hate when people say,
I
"Oh,
can't
have you not
stand it.
got a proper job?" Oh god. I'm like,
Mhm.
"I earn money doing it. Surely that is the definition of a job."
I know.
But
Yeah,
yeah, and I definitely wanted to, and the degree I did was very much around kind of, learning to record, and we released stuff and we did little tours and gigging, and it was all very much like that. And I think when I was younger, I definitely did just wanna be a rock star, and then, of course,
right.
as you get older and you realise various things, you kinda go, "Oh, I could be a rock star, but equally there's other things for me to do as well." But, I mean, I'm not saying
Uh,
I wouldn't do it now, of course I would.
no, being a rock star sounds class, but so does, like, sitting on the couch and watching Netflix.
Mhm.
So, like, there's a fine line. That's so funny when you're saying when people are like, "Oh, so what's your real job?" I have kids come in here every single day to learn how to play guitar, and they're like, "So what's your job?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you think?" It's like, "Do you have a job?" "No, no, I just sit in this fancy little room
Yeah,
and do nothing all day. That's what I do. I'm a big
yeah,
child." But, yeah.
exactly, and people
So
just
talk
go
to
out
me.
into the garden and get the money tree and things, and it's
Yeah,
like, "No,
exactly. Yeah,
people
yeah.
pay
No,
me to do it."
have you got one of those money trees as well? They're unreal. Unreal, huh? Um so obviously you grew up, you were going to be a rock star, you're now a rock star, you're happy out. You've been all over the world in like theater shows and like cruises and in bands and stuff. How
Mhm.
did
Yeah.
like was that just a natural progression out of right, I want to be a rock star. What does a rock star or I want to be a musician, I should probably say. What does a musician do? Well, a musician goes off and plays. Was that kind of what you were aiming to do, or was that just sort of you took one job and you went from job and job and job and job to the next, or what? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the people that I knew and the people I work with, because it really is an industry where it's all about who you know. And it just
100%.
kind of, so I was doing a lot of the same work as the people I knew. And, you end up being in a little kind of like, not clique, but, kind of a collection of musicians and we do the same kind of
Mhm.
things. Um, and also I put a lot of emphasis on the fun side of it. So whereas some
Yeah,
people might be serious about, real career progression, and I am going to be doing, backing vocals for Beyonce, it was
yeah,
if someone offered me a job that sounded like fun, I do that. I was very much, based around how much fun I could have on a job. And I think the first 10 or so years of my career was very much based around that, how much fun I could have. And it was brilliant fun. And that's why I ended up,
yeah.
we went to Dubai and Israel and all over Europe. And we went to South Korea on like a 48-hour jolly once, like, because we got asked to go out and play there. And so it's really
Class.
fun. And then cruise ships, which were brilliant fun as well. So yeah, I've been very lucky that I've traveled and got paid to do it basically. But it was never about the career. It was more about how much fun I could have, which might not be the correct answer.
No, that's 100% because like it's that old cliche of if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. It's not true, but
No.
there's merit to it. And if I suppose you have to take so there has to be some sort of criteria for like, right, am I going to go to Brazil or am I going to go to Korea? Well, Korea sounds like far better crack, so I'll go to Korea instead. Do you know what I mean? So why not?
Yeah,
There
yeah,
has to be
yeah.
there has to be a catalyst to it, and that might why can't how much crack you can have? Why can't that be the catalyst?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I also think that thing of if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life is I think it can be quite dangerous because you can, if you do what you love as a job, it can get to the point where you start resenting it and you stop loving what you do.
Mm.
And I think that now, as I'm moving more in towards a kind of like, I'm trying to build this community and helping other people. A lot of it is because after 20 years, I had realized that I wasn't getting as much joy out of it because it was my job. I wasn't gigging because I loved it so much. I was doing it because I had to, because it was my job. And when you realize
Mhm.
that, you go, oh, so actually, maybe taking a step back from it being your sole source of income, and you can start to find a love in it and not just do gigs because, sorry, it's busy road out there, beeping. Um, and then you can go back to gigging and performing and making music for fun and for the joy of it, rather than only going, oh, I'm not taking that gig because it's not enough money, or actually that gig sounds like it's a bit too much work for how much I'm getting paid. And rather than purely doing it for kind of the joy. So I think there's
Yeah.
a balance to them both, definitely.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm in exactly the same situation. I'm 30 now, and I've been gigging since I was 15. So I've been almost gigging longer than I've not been gigging. And
Yeah.
I've come to the point now where, and like I done the whole, I gigged I lived in Spain, I toured America, I done all that sort of stuff. And it's only in
Mhm.
the past few years that I made music my full time job. And part of that full time job is gigging. And because I
Yeah.
love teaching and I love growing my music school and stuff like that, and doing my podcast and stuff like that, and because I love doing all of those things so much, and I get my creative release through that, gigging at the
Yeah.
weekend is now just such an effort, and I can't be arsed with it
Mm.
half the time. And it's just it does become the thing that gigging was the thing I loved above all
Yeah.
else, above
Yeah.
absolutely everything else. I'd rather give up telly for the rest of my life than
Yeah.
give up gigging. You know what I mean? Something
Yeah.
as stupid as that, but now it's gotten to the point where it is part of my income. Do you know what I mean? You kind of have to. You can't just like go and have the crack. You do have to take it a bit seriously.
Mm.
I'm hating it, so I'm working on
Yeah,
getting resorting out the balance, basically
the
fixing the
balance.
balance.
Yeah, and I don't wanna sound negative on it, and I don't wanna, kind of put people off and go, "God, it actually doesn't sound quite as good as I thought it did." I don't mean that. I just mean that I think if people are talking about what a career in music is, I think, it isn't all brilliant. Yes, it is a fantastic job, don't get me wrong, and I've had the best times of my life and met the best people and seen the work, and it is incredible. But equally, like you said, there are times I have to leave at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning, spend 5
Mhm.
hours in a car to go and do a 2-hour sound check, to do 2 hours on stage, to stay in a motel on the motorway and get home on Sunday at 4 p.m. That's my entire weekend gone, and so it's
For
kind of
2 hours worth of
whereas
playing.
actually for 2 hours on stage and you know, that is it's just a part of it, and I think if you're talking about it, an honest representation of what being a
Mhm.
musician is, yes, it's probably 70% brilliant and fun, but there are gonna be times when or even if you have to leave later, you might, at the end of the day go, "Cool, I'm quite looking forward to sitting in front of the TV," and then go, "Oh, no, gotta go out to work."
Yeah, that's the bit that kills me. I used to do a gig
Mm.
here in Aberdeen, that started at 11 o'clock at night, and it used to get to,
Mm.
like, if it was a Saturday night and I was driving, it would get to, like, 10 o'clock on Saturday night, and I'd be sitting there, stone cold sober, by the way, because I had to drive,
Yeah, could you
and
drive?
sitting
Yeah.
absolutely raging that I was a way
Yeah,
to go. So, yeah,
yeah.
so
It's and I
as much
don't
as
wanna
some of those.
sound yeah, I don't wanna sound negative on it because, I realise coming here, talk about music, and it's like, "Ah," rah, rah," but
Yeah, it's fucking shite.
it's not negative. It's just the side of it that's if I just think that phrase, "If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life." It's like, well,
Yeah,
it's kind of true, but equally kinda, you do have to
yeah.
kinda think about the other side. But on the whole, it's been brilliant, and I'm so lucky that I've had a career in that everything I have and everything I've done has been through music, and that is I'm very, very grateful for that. It's brilliant.
Excellent. Well, let's lighten the mood a bit then. So talk to us about some of the more memorable, like, things that you've done throughout the past 20 years. So you mentioned you've been in bands, you've done theater shows, you've traveled all around the world.
Mhm.
You said you kind of you went off to South Korea for just,
Oh,
like,
god.
the crack for, like, 48
Well, it
hours. I
was
really
it
want to
was
hear about that.
it was for a job. We basically got asked it was a well-known, computer firm's global conference, and I don't know
Okay.
how we got asked to go out and do it. I didn't organise it, and there was 7 of us, I think, in the band, and we basically got flown out to Seoul. We got there at, um I don't know, 10, 11 at night, had to do the sound check, but and then they were like, "Right, your call time's at 8:30 AM." And we were like, "I'm sorry, what?" And, so we
In the
got out and we
morning.
had to do this it was so mad, in this huge theatre, this massive theatre. And we were doing this thing, and they told us to prepare a load of stings, like short bits of music, and then the stage was so big that the band was split in two, and one side of the band was curved on one side of the stage, the other was on the other. So the drummer was trying to like make sure everyone could see the count-ins, and it was crazy. And then at midday it finished, and they said, we were like, "Well, now what?" And they said, "Oh, well, we'll pick you up tomorrow at midday for the next day." And so, and then they just gave us this envelope of cash, and it was about $1,000 of local currency. And they just went, "Yeah, we'll see you
Right.
tomorrow at midday." And we just were like, we had like hotel. So we basically just went off and had a quite wild 24 hours in Seoul. It was,
That
yeah,
sounds
really
amazing.
fun. Yeah, and then we got
That
picked
sounds
up
like
quite
fun.
hungover, did the next gig, and then literally the next morning we went back to the airport and got flown home again. It was crazy,
Jesus.
but really fun.
Yeah. See, now I am so up for that sort of stuff. I would do that in
Yeah,
a
me too.
heartbeat. So because that's like the most amount of crack for the least amount of effort. If you can just live with the
Exactly.
hangover for the couple of hours that it's good for the small percentage of the
Yeah,
time that you're going to be dying, if you can just deal with that, the crack
yeah.
value is going to be immense there.
Oh, there was the crack value was very high, and we did quite a few things like that. Like there's a gig in the south of France, which is quite notorious. If you speak to a lot of musicians in the UK, a lot of them have done this gig in the south of France, and they just have this rotation of British bands going out for a week. So you do a week and then you get back. And me and three of my friends, we put a band together specifically, and we were like, let's see how. We were like, let's do like a really stupid, like the band we wanted to be when we were 16, and like played loads of like Green Day and AC/DC and
Yeah,
stuff like that, like silly rock songs. And we just
yeah.
go out there, we spent this week, and we get put up in a band flat next door, which was like cockroach infested. And there's like four of it, me and these three lads in bunk beds in this one tiny little room. And just this like wild week of, yeah, it was really, really fun. So there were lots of silly things like that, really, just getting, yeah. By the end of the week, though, you're desperate for a proper bed and Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
water.
water, probably.
Yeah, yeah. I've done that. I used to live when I used to play in Salou in Spain, and I used to live there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we the staff accommodation was called the Smack Flats, and it was
Oh,
great. At one stage we upgraded to our own flat that we were paying for, and in a three bed room, or sorry, in a three bed flat, there was six of us at any one given time. And at one stage, one of the lads that was living with us brought over like seven mates to stay with us. So there was like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 people living in this three-bed flat. And it was unbelievable crack. But it was just, like you
I
say,
bet.
by the end of it, you're dying for like literally water and air and
Yeah,
like just the very,
your
very
own
basic
place.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
just
very, very basic things of
oh,
like, your man Maslow that has his hierarchy of needs. He would have had a
yes,
field day with it.
exactly. It wasn't all just silly, yeah, silly gigs
Yeah.
abroad where you're just partying the whole time. There were some serious things as well, proper jobs.
Go on, such as,
Oh, no, I was just, yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, they're gonna be like, "God, what do they do? Just, like, get flown around the world to drink?" And it was like, "Well, no," but
what the?
yeah. But no, there was I mean, I did a tour I was doing a tour for the last couple of years, which was obviously interrupted by the pandemic, but, I
Uh-huh.
stopped doing I was working with a touring band in the, like, the UK theatres up until last summer. I think I stopped doing that. But yeah, so playing at all the beautiful theatres around the UK and stuff. And it's like I sang at the Albert Hall when we supported Elton John and did lots of things like that. And when I studied at the Royal Academy as well, we got lots of opportunities to do some pretty cool things there as well. So yeah, I've done a mixture. Done a
Who did you
mix.
who was the band you were in supporting Elton John? You can't just drop a name like that and
Oh,
just
it
move
was
on.
well, it doesn't it was sadly it wasn't with a band. It was actually with when I studied at the Royal Academy because he's one of the patrons, and so he got us
Alright.
to. We were the choir, so we did a whole orchestral with this choir, and we did
Uh-huh.
a big thing of his. That was the support for the show. But it was cool because I got to sing in the Albert Hall and sing with an orchestra, and it was yeah amazing.
Supporting Elton John.
Supporting Alan John, yeah, yeah, yeah. He came down and said
That's
hello
class.
to us as well in his
Class.
tracksuit.
I one time roadied for Elton John in Aberdeen here, and
That's
it
very
was
tall.
nowhere. Yeah, it was nowhere near as glamorous. I only remembered this like last week, just through another situation, but it wasn't. It was nowhere near as glamorous as I thought it was going to be. In fact, the vast majority of the work I did at 2 o'clock in the morning after he had played in Aberdeen was
Mm.
reloading on his wardrobe onto the back of an Arctic
Oh,
lorry, and it was a full Arctic
yeah,
lorry of wardrobe. So Elton, if you're listening, listen, come on. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? On you
Hey,
come. I'd love to have you on. I
yeah.
I wheeled your clothes around the place for you. You're welcome.
I mean, if that isn't a tenuous link, I don't know what is.
I know exactly. Yeah. So there you go. So that's it. Roadieing for Elton John, supporting Elton John. I love it. I'm trying to get tickets for Elton John at the moment because I'd love to see him just before he finishes
Mm,
up. And he's playing like literally across the road from my house. So I think that just has to happen.
it'd be a good
But
one.
cool. So you mentioned there that you had quite a late diagnosis of ADHD. How did that come about, and how did that sort of affect you? The reason I ask is because this podcast is all about empowering other musicians to like kind of sort of wise up a bit, cop on, be like, I can
Mhm.
make a career out of music. I can absolutely go and do this. Oh, but I
Yeah,
can't. Maybe I can't because of X, Y, and Z. And maybe ADHD could be someone else's X, Y, and Z reason for not pursuing this.
yeah.
So, how did it come
Mhm.
about? How did you overcome it? Talk to us about that.
Well, I think, like a lot of people recently, uh, there's been an increased awareness of it. So once you kind of start seeing things and you're going, hang on a minute, that adds up. And the more I was seeing, the
Mm.
more I was like, God, I'm literally like ticking every single box. And my sister apparently is hugely genetic. Like I can't remember the exact statistic. It's very 80, 90%, something like that, genetic. So
Oh,
if
well,
you
right.
have it, it's likely that someone in your family has it too. Um, and my nephew has it, my sister's son, and my sister was like, "I think I've got it too." So we got diagnosed within about 6 months of each other, and, the psychiatrist was like, "Yeah, you definitely have this." But
Yeah,
it's
fair
been
enough.
very interesting because it's very common for women to get diagnosed later because, like a lot of things, the research is done around men, and it's kind of
Uh,
that old thing of little boys running around throwing tables around is not what ADHD actually is. So I think the more people have discovered
yeah,
what it is as a neurodiversity, that it's yeah, and it can be crippling in a lot of areas, which is interesting because, I've beaten myself up about my shortcomings my whole career. And I'm sure my career could have been very different had I known or had I not had ADHD. So now it's that point of going, okay, now I have to learn how to be kinder to myself and to work
yeah,
with my brain rather than against it. So it's been a really good thing to be diagnosed, but you also kind of have to go through that grieving process of going, oh, that's why I couldn't do X, Y, or Z, whereas now
oh,
now I can try to do it. And if I can't, I don't beat myself up because it's just the way my brain is.
yeah. I get that. I really get that. I often thought that that no, I'm not. I was going to say I often thought that I had ADHD, but apparently I don't.
Mm.
But I think yeah. No, I'm not going to get into that because I'll end up just talking around in circles about something that I
Yeah.
know absolutely nothing about. Um, but so if someone is out there listening and they've got ADHD and that is their reason for that is holding them back and they're beating themselves up over not being able to do this sort of thing. Have you got like one sort of golden nugget of advice or maybe a call to action to that person that's listening in that situation?
Yeah, I think being kind to yourself is really important. And working, as I said, working with your brain. Yes, there are going to be things you struggle with. Yes, but once you know what they are, you can work around it. So just being kind to yourself and thinking, so I've got no working memory, so I can't ever remember anything. But I know that
Right.
now, and it's like, so I can, I'm better at setting reminders, or I tell people, I make sure I tell people, look, please remind me because I won't remember. Whereas before you'd have beaten yourself up. So I think you can absolutely do anything, and you can use this to your advantage. The creativity side of it, the spontaneity side of it is incredible. But if all you're doing is beating yourself up because of the things you struggle with, you're not going to go forth and be incredible, in the world. So
Yeah.
I think just being kind to yourself and really researching it and finding out the bits you struggle with and what those strategies are to kind of help. You don't need
Yeah.
fixing, but you can make things easier. But the first thing is to, yeah, just give yourself a break.
Yeah, fair enough. So what were some of the things that kind of about yourself that you noticed were kind of not really aligning with how other people were doing things and things that you were struggling? What were some of the big ones?
So memory is a big one. So my working memory is very bad. So I've already forgotten what you said like 30 seconds ago. So working memory
So
is
have I, it's all good.
dreadful, but again, there are things you can help with that. I also struggle with organization. So my brain is, for want of a better word, quite chaotic. So it's constantly
Mhm.
and a million things. I'm like, oh my God, look at that. Oh, and it's darting around all the time. So trying to get cohesive thought, you know, is quite tricky. And it also means
Mhm.
I bounce around. So I get super interested and invested in something. And a week later, I'm totally bored of it. And I've moved on to something else. So that's quite challenging. And so being disorganized is a real struggle.
Yeah,
And then the big one is time blindness, which is almost impossible to describe, but I haven't people with ADHD often have no sense of time, none. And we live in a
right.
world where we're told that you if you are late for something, that is the ultimate in being rude and disrespectful. So you spend your whole life being late and then being told you're rude and disrespectful when you've spent every ounce of energy you have trying not to be late, and you're still late, and all you get told is you're rude and disrespectful. And it's because the best way I've heard of describing it is there's two times: there's now or not now. So something is either
Okay.
happening right this second, or it is not now. So it could be in 10 minutes, it could be in 10 years. We have no concept of that. I have no idea how long anything takes. And when people go, why don't you just leave 10 minutes earlier? And you're like, oh, thank you for that. I hadn't thought of that. When it's like, yeah,
Wow.
I can't explain it. It's like this no concept of time. It's either happening right now or it isn't happening. That's it. So
Right.
that can be quite challenging. But again, I
Okay.
know now.
Yeah. That's that is so interesting to speak
I'm
about
no
this.
expert though.
That
Don't
is
take, like I'm not a medical professional, so
no, no,
seek
no.
professional advice. But yeah, that's just
Yeah.
how that's the things I mainly struggle with.
Lovely. So if
Actually.
anybody is watching this on YouTube and has noticed that all of a sudden myself and Philippa are totally like dressed differently, the last time we tried to do the recording, my internet just decided, nah, I'm not working for you anymore, Barry. And we have just reconvened a couple of days later to get this finished. So anyone listening, hopefully it'll sound seamless. Anybody watching, that's why. It's just, yeah, it's all part of it. So
No one will notice.
no one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. It's like that whole thing. It's like the really dodgy music. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know. They're going to know. Like they're going to know. Anyway, so Philippa, before Vodafone, I'm fucking calling you out, you fuckers. Before Vodafone rudely interrupted our lovely conversation with their
Mhm.
subpar internet, we were about to start speak about your newest project, the Singing Guitarist. So for those who haven't heard of the Singing Guitarist and don't know what it's about, why don't you fill us in on that and tell us all about it?
Well, it's the clues in the title, but yeah, it started off as me teaching people how to do what I do, so sing and play the guitar, because I realised there was a bit of a gap that, there's loads of online guitar teaching, there's loads of online singing teaching, but there's no one doing both together.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I can do that. I know how I can do that. And also, it came about the amount of people that were asking me, oh, how do you do it? Oh, wow, and I was like, honestly, you don't need that much. You really don't
Yeah.
need to be able to play the guitar that well or even sing that well to be able to do it. To be able to accompany yourself on the guitar is relatively easy. You don't have to spend 8 years in training and go to a conservatoire and all this stuff. I'm not discouraging that, but if that's a bit overwhelming and putting people off, I want to show that you can get playing and singing relatively easy. And from that, it's now expanded, and I want to build a community of people that just want to make music, and whether it's to change career, or whether it's just for reclaiming the joy in making music. That's really important to me, that people are making music without any regard to the outcome, that they're just doing it because it's fun and it's a joyful thing to be able to do. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I'm going for. That's the ethos.
That's the ethos. Fantastic. And
Mhm.
so like if anybody is listening and think that sounds like a bit of me, that's resonating with them. What does day one of joining the singing guitarist community look like? Or how do you go about joining the singing guitarist community?
Well, it's pretty easy. You just follow us on social media. So we've got a Facebook group and a page, and um, then Instagram page and TikTok as well. And it's all just at the singing guitarist. It's all the same. And there you get loads of free content. So I put free lessons up and things. I've got a few guides that you can download as well. So I've just released a new guide, how I got to number one and how you can too. So you can go and download that. Um, Again, that's on the website, and it is on all the socials as well. So you can download things like that. And then I also offer one-to-one coaching programs. So I do a singer-songwriter program where I take you through every step you need to go from wherever you are now, whether that's you've never picked up a guitar or whether you're already, say, gigging, but you don't know what to do next. Take you through every step with singing lessons, guitar lessons, recording lessons, songwriting lessons. So we look at creating your own music, and then recording and releasing that. So over the course of the program, you will go from wherever you are now to having a fully internationally released EP. So I will get that mastered and mixed for you professionally, and then you can release that. So that's the one-to-one program. And I am also launching a group program for women who are traditionally left out of the music education. Not left out, but it's still overwhelmingly male dominated. So
Mhm.
starting a group program for women to do the same thing and really uncover everyone's inner artist. That's what I really believe, that everyone's got an artist inside them. and your voice, you are so unique. Everyone is so unique, and the way you see the world can be translated and can really touch a lot of people. So I want
Yeah.
everybody to experience that.
That's lovely. It's such a it's like this was the whole reason why when I started finding you online, that your whole sort of ethos resonated with me, because it's so niche, but it's not. It's so it's like the way you're doing it is so niche and so clever, but it's so universally appealing, because how many people do you know? Oh, I wish I could play guitar, or oh, I wish I could get up and do a party piece, or I wish I could. Oh, I've always been musically inclined, but I never got, whatever their excuse is. And it literally is, it's you are talking to those people, and I'd imagine it's those people that are finding you, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Even in the
Yeah, I hope
time that,
so.
yeah, but even in the time since I first was when the algorithm introduced you to me, I've seen your page grow like quite a bit. So you seem
Yeah,
to be making shapes and doing all the right stuff, and it's absolutely
yeah,
fantastic, and I wish you
I
all the
hope
best with it.
so. Thank you. I
Yeah,
mean, I just hope that, because, yeah, as I say, it started out, teaching people singing guitar and it, but it's so much more than that, and it's like whether you want to change career, you might want to go and work full time as a cruise ship musician, or you might want to really make a go of it as a singer songwriter and tour and do your own original music, or it might just be that you want to learn a song for your daughter's wedding, or whatever it is.
yeah,
There's this huge spectrum, and I want everyone to be able to be involved, and I don't want people to be intimidated. And I've got this whole thing about letting go of what good is, because good is
yeah,
subjective, art is subjective, and
yeah,
if people don't do things, they're like, oh, I could never do that because I can't sing, or I'm not a very good guitar player. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. Everyone can do it and everyone should do it, and if you want to
100%.
do it, yeah, don't let things like that stand in your way. And so I want to be there to kind of build a community and help people every step, basically.
Amazing. And I'm assuming that all of your programs are online, so it doesn't matter whereabouts in the world you are. If you want to learn from Philippa, you can learn wherever.
You can, yeah. So I do all my coaching is done online, and all the freebies, it's all done online. So wherever you are, you can come find me.
Yes, that's the way to
As
do
long
it.
as you
That's
don't
the
want,
way you do
like
it.
a Zoom at 3 in the morning. So I think I might be a bit useless, but yeah, we can make it work.
100%. So anybody in Australia, sorry,
Mm.
but do you know what I mean?
Well,
Just
having
get
said
it.
that,
Yeah,
I was in Australia at the beginning of the year, and I did have to do some Zooms, and I did have to get up. So it's fine. I'm used to it. It's okay.
yeah. Oh, well, then there you go.
We
There
can
you go.
make it
Australia,
work.
you're back in. You're back in, just like in the
Yeah, you're
Eurovision for
in.
some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're in.
good stuff.
Them and the
Well, I tell
Kiwis,
you
we're
what.
all right.
Aye, exactly. They're all good. They're good eggs down that end of the world. Um, cool. Right. Well, I tell you what. Let's head into a quick fire round and round off the episode. This is turned into literally the longest episode, because I don't think I've had one that was like essentially 2 weeks long, because I mean, with the break. But you're hey ho,
2 whole
first
weeks
time
of
for
chat.
Everton. Yeah, exactly. First time for Everton. But so quick fire round. I always describe these as icebreakers at the very end, because that's just fun to do. So
Okay.
nothing really to do with music, just a bit of crack. So tea or coffee?
Coffee, having got one in my hand right now.
I would literally just in the door. I didn't have time to get a coffee, and there's no milk, so it makes me really sad. But hey ho, I'll sort that. I'll sort it.
Mhm.
No bother. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Um, I'm a bit spontaneous. I suppose it's the ADHD. So I tend to kind of do quite a lot of spontaneous. Some people may say stupid things. So there's probably too many to count. Like jacking in jobs and moving across countries and things. But I suppose the most boring answer would be jumping out of a plane twice.
Oh wow, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm terrified of heights. I didn't realize I was
Oh,
afraid of heights until I always tell the story that the time I found out that I was afraid of heights was when I got to the top of the Rockefeller Center in New York and couldn't get out of the lift.
yeah.
Yeah, didn't know
I
I was
have.
afraid of heights until then. And my legs told me, they're like, "No, you're going nowhere, sunshine." And yeah,
Yes,
so that is
Exactly the same. Same thing happened to me up the Eiffel Tower. I was climbing up the stairs, and we were like, "This is going to be so much fun." And as I got higher and higher, my legs just started to go, and I fell to my knees and started crawling up on my hands and knees. And when I got there, I
Yeah,
couldn't move away from the top of the thing, and I was going, "What is going on?" It's like my body wouldn't let me do. It was
yeah,
mad, and I was like, "Oh, I think I got vertigo or something." I don't like
yeah.
heights. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. We were on
yeah.
honeymoon in we went to Hong Kong on our honeymoon, and we went up to the top. The hotel that we were in, you could go up onto the top of the roof and watch like this
Uh-huh.
light show. Now, for anybody that's going to Hong Kong and wants to see the light show, it is literally Hong Kong turning on and off the light switch. Don't bother your arse. It's a load of shite. Hong Kong is class, but the light show is shocking. Anyway,
Okay, good to know.
and, anyway, but we got up to the top of the thing, and like you say, I just wanted to just get down and and make myself as small as possible, and I
Yeah.
eventually had to just like close my eyes and walk. And my wife was
Oh,
in stitches laughing, and the person at the door was in stitches laughing at me, and I was in stitches laughing at myself, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't
no,
help it at
exactly.
all.
It's just such a bizarre feeling. It happened to me at the Burj Khalifa, and I knew it had happened, but my friend wanted to go, and yet I came
Mm.
out the lift and I just pinned myself against the wall, and I couldn't go anywhere near the window. I just couldn't.
Oh
It
no.
was like I just pinned myself against the wall. There we go.
That's giving me the fear. I can literally feel that now.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving swiftly
This
on
is
from
the
that one.
worst quick fire round ever in terms of
This is
it's
literally the
not
worst.
very quick.
No, it's not very quick at all, is it? I'll tell you what. Let's just do one more, because this is literally. Oh no, I'll tell you what. We'll do two more, right? So, first one. What's your favorite meal deal?
It would be a BLT with what used to be, because I don't eat meat now, but a BLT with ready salted walkers and probably a bottle of water, actually.
People think that ready salted crisps are so boring, but I'm like, no, it's
You
not
cannot
plain
beat it with
flavor.
a sandwich. You
It's
cannot beat
unbeatable.
it.
It's literally, yeah, I know. It's
With a
fantastic. It's
sandwich,
unreal.
it's the
So
only
yeah,
way. Plain
yeah,
crisp.
100%. You
Yeah.
go, girl. And then lastly, the best question, my favorite question to ask everybody: what celebrity would you like to fight?
Fight?
Fight, yeah.
Oh, it'd have to be
You're
someone
calling someone out for
really
a fight.
small and weak, because I'm like really small and weak. Oh, a celebrity I'd
It
like,
doesn't
maybe
have to be
Charlie
someone.
Day. I don't know why, because he just popped into my head because he's short. He'd
I don't.
still be
I have
from
I have to say, I don't
Always
know who
Sunny in
Charlie.
Philadelphia. He was Luigi in the
Oh,
new
okay.
Mario Brothers. There you go.
All right. Okay. Very good. Charlie. Oh, I
Yeah,
know who he is. Yes, I know exactly
yeah.
who he is. Oh, yeah.
I
You
think
can
it's
take
only
him.
because he comes across as not a fighter, so I might stand a chance. But he'd still beat me, and I'm sure he's really ripped and strong. So
It's grand. It's grand. I had someone on Monday say they wanted to fight Anthony Joshua, so I was like, great.
Oh,
Yeah,
why would you want to do that unless you want to? That's a bit suicidal, isn't it? I think
little bit,
just
little
getting
bit, but yeah.
absolutely. Oh my life, no thanks.
Listen, go big or go home. You know yourself.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, if you're going to have
Yeah,
one fight in your life, maybe that's it.
that's the way to do it. Yeah, that is the way to do it. Let's leave it there, Phillipa. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on twice.
Thank you for having
Where can
me.
people? Yeah, where can people find you and get onto you if they're looking for you online and all that kind of jazz?
So the singing guitarists, um, and that is at all the socials. Well, it's Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Or my own one is Phillipa Cookman, and you can find my website philippacookman.com, and also the website thesingingguitarist.com, and you can find everything you need to know there and get the guides and download all the free stuff too. So yeah,
Fantastic. Well, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Go and get yourself all them free guides and stuff. Phillipa, thanks so much for joining me.
thank you ever so much for having me. It was lovely twice.